Today I chat with mother of 5, Marlain. Marlain describes the individual joys and challenges she faced with the arrival of each baby. Some of the topics we talk about include jaundice, the death of a father figure at the time of going into labour, the physical pain of perineal damage, breastfeeding difficulties, and having too many visitors. Marlain speaks from the heart and is a wise and nurturing woman with a lot of compassion for other mothers. This has led to her starting a product-based business named Noosh Noosh, all designed to make the life of a postpartum mother all the more comfortable, especially to support the aftermath of childbirth, with things like peri sprays, sitz baths, breastfeeding tenderness tools, and the like. Her own experiences in childbirth have driven her to think of everything a woman needs to set her up for physical recovery and success. Marlain doesn't want any mother to feel criticised or judged for her choices, especially when it comes to how she feeds her baby. Enjoy this encouraging conversation. Okay, so I'm welcoming Marlain to the podcast today. Marlain, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and who's in your family?
Sure. Hi, Katura. Thanks for having me on. My name is Marlain. I'm a mum of 5 children, 18 down to 9. I come from an extended family, so I have 4 brothers, and then my extended family is another 3 sisters and 1 brother. So there's 8 of us all up. Married. My husband has 2 siblings and one sister and 1 brother. And I am from a Lebanese background. And yeah, that's about me. So that's pretty much me.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been pretty busy in motherhood anyway.
I have definitely been pretty busy.
Yes. Did you have like any specific occupation or career path before
Um,
having children, or
yeah. So
you were dedicated to being a mum?
before I had children, I was in purchasing, so part of logistics. Um, Not a particular set career, but just started off in customer service, after I left high school. Did some TAFE courses around business management, and then just continued until I was literally 38 weeks pregnant, and then that was it. And then I sort of had child after child after child, and just became a full-time stay-at-home mum for, I think I didn't return to the workforce until maybe 6 years ago. So, yeah, and then just started off again in customer service and then worked my way up a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then which,
Mm.
led me to start my own business, because it's just so hard working full time with, 5 kids
Mm.
and a household. It's just insane.
Absolutely. I didn't know you had a job outside of your work with as a mother, so that's pretty huge. Yeah. Um, how old were you when you became a mother, if I can ask?
I was 22 when I had my first.
Mhm.
22, 23. I think I had, just turned 23 maybe when I had my first. So not too young,
Okay.
but not too old. Or for back then anyway, it wasn't too young.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 23 as well, nearly
Yeah,
24
yeah.
when I had my first son. But I think for me, I was one of the only ones I was the only one, I think, in my friendship group that was having children, that was even married. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, but, I think it's nice. I have no regrets.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely no regrets.
Yeah,
I think it's
no.
nice to
So
have
is
them,
it like must be like quite similar age gaps between all of them, or is it any of them have a bit of a gap?
The last one was a surprise. So after the 4 boys, so I have
Mhm.
4 boys and then the girl. So I was done, content, 4 boys, beautiful, crazy house. It's enough. And then I found out I was pregnant with my last one, and so there's about a 3-year age gap, nearly 3 years between the last two.
Right. What a beautiful surprise, the little girl.
Oh, definitely was.
So, would you say you've always wanted a big family because you come from a big family? Was that just kind of, it was always going to be that way, or how did it come to be?
Oh, look, I've always loved kids, so I really didn't have a set number in mind, but I knew I wanted more than one or two children. To be honest, I didn't expect to have five, but God bless them, and we are where we are. But yeah, I think I was content with four. I didn't have an issue if we had no more after that. But yeah, definitely was a nice surprise.
Yeah, beautiful. So tell us a bit more about your entry into motherhood. I'm sure like each of them have had unique joys, unique challenges. Can you sort of run us through each one?
Sure. So each of my pregnancies during the pregnancy was quite similar, similar symptoms, or not really symptoms. I was quite a breezy in my pregnancies. Um, but heading into labor, they were all different. I did not have one labor the same as the next. One of the main issues I had was breastfeeding, which I'm sure and a lot of mothers out there do experience. But I struggled a lot with breastfeeding each and every one of them. Um, I mean, I have not small breasts, but I have smaller nipples. So for them to latch, I found it was a lot harder. And with my first, I think there was a lot of pressure from the hospital to breastfeed, 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 breastfeed. Um, that I just actually felt like an inadequate mother because my emotions are already going crazy.
Mm.
I'd just given, a long labor. Um, this kid wouldn't stop crying. I didn't know whether I was doing anything right. Um, so it wasn't until maybe 2 weeks. So I was expressing, trying to feed at the same time, dealing with cracked nipples and all the rest of stuff. I ended up getting mastitis. Um, and then just trying to just deal with a new baby and myself at the same time was just a big roller coaster. My second, I thought, you know what, I was absolutely beside myself with the first one, and I thought, you know what, the second one, stuff what anyone says. I packed some formula in a bottle in my bag ready to go. I thought if it's not going to work, I'm not stressing myself out if I don't need to. I can express what I can. So I sort of just took the pressure off myself a bit because it was so
Mhm.
traumatic for me, the first time round. And then as with each child, that was my thing. That's just what I did. I had a backup formula. My intention was always to go in hoping I could breastfeed. If I couldn't, not the end of the world. I can still make this child survive without breast milk. But naturally, I expressed for as long as I could for the first maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But naturally, with more and more children, your time is more limited. So, you know, expressing became a real time consuming. And back then, they didn't have the little portable ones you just put in your bra. It was a big machine I had to hire with the bottles attached and whatnot. So it was quite a big ordeal for me. Um, but yeah, I did try and breastfeed. So even by the fifth child, I still wasn't able to do it, but I didn't stress myself out about it. I just let it all come naturally. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. Um, so each child coming into the world was a little bit different. So my second one, when he was born, he had to go into the ICU for a while. He had all of my children actually had quite bad jaundice when they were born, but he was pretty bad, and they had to put all the lines and whatnot through him, which was a bit devastating to see. Um, it was. I'm quite an
Oh,
emotional person, so just to see that in your little baby, and you feel helpless. Um, so that was Brandon. So he stayed in the NIC unit for about a week and a half. So I would have to express. So they kept me in the hospital. So I would express, go down, feed him, and then go back up to my room. So I couldn't stay with him, um, which is quite daunting for a new mum again. And then I had my other son at home, so it was just, you know, you're always worried about what he's doing. And then my third one, unfortunately, my father figure. I was supposed to go in to be induced on the Friday. I got a call 3 o'clock that morning to say my father figure had passed away. He'd been sick for a while, but he went in to have a pacemaker put in and then sort of didn't recover from that. So, um, Friday morning, I get a call 3 a.m. I was supposed to be at the hospital at 6 to be induced. They said, he's gone. So we rang the hospital, had to postpone till the Sunday, but I was already 40 plus nearly 2 weeks. So they couldn't
oh wow.
they couldn't let me go any longer. So um,
Mm.
went down to be with the family for a little bit, and then Sunday morning I was meant to be at the hospital to be induced. So did that, had Bub. He was okay. Once again went to the NIC unit for bad jaundice. And then the funeral, I had to leave him I had to get people to bring me my funeral clothes, and then got picked up from the hospital, had to leave baby in the NIC unit, went to the funeral, went to the wake, and then came back to hospital, and then just my luck, Bubs was ready to come home. So, as you can imagine, like your emotions are already going wild. Then emotions of, after pregnancy again is just, and I think coming home with two other children and then just, so prior to that, we were living with my in-laws. And then with the third one, we had just moved into our own home as well. So I kind of didn't have as much support at home. My husband worked long hours, so it was kind of come home from the hospital, pick up the child from the funeral, and then just get back into normal life again. So I really didn't have any time to process anything. I just sort of jumped back into normal day to day routine, um, which I think, looking back now mentally, I think, you didn't get to grieve properly. You didn't get to be with your family during that process because I was dealing with myself. Um, I think it played a massive, massive, massive part on me, mentally. And I don't think I recovered completely until, even after I had my fifth child, that I realized, like, I'm not the person I used to be. And I actually stepped up and got, I saw counselors, I spoke to people, I got the help I needed. And you know what? It was the best thing I ever did. Um, in our culture, it's a little bit, not like everybody has issues, but it's a little bit taboo. Like, you just don't speak about it. Going to counselors or psychologists is not common. So for someone to, step up and do that, it's, whether it was forced or not, it's just something I needed to do for myself. So that was, yeah, after my fifth. The last two were pretty straightforward. Um, the fourth one didn't have to go to ICU. He just went to another little smaller unit, which wasn't in the ICU. And then my fifth one was pretty much, I had a little bit of jaundice, but didn't need, extra help. It would just pass on its own. But she was the quickest. I had been in slow labor for 2 weeks. Um, so that was also massive for me. With 4 other children, you can just imagine little kids, you know. Um, so it was fun days. It was all fun. Looking back now, it just seemed like a breeze, but obviously in when you're in there in the deep, it was quite a struggle.
Absolutely. I think, like I sort of sitting here in awe of you, and I'm sure there's a lot of mamas that might be listening to this that will also be thinking, "Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine." Um,
Yeah.
so it's just thank you for sharing and for being, so vulnerable as well and honest in your share because this is motherhood. It's not perfect. It's messy. And what you've also shown is that every single child and every single experience are so different.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we also sold the message that you'll be okay for your second and third if you have one because you're just learning on the first one. But don't worry, you'll have it all down pat for the next one. But that's not the case because you're working with a completely different pregnancy, a completely different child. You're different as a woman, as a mum. So it's really important to acknowledge each individual experience as being, as what it is, and knowing that there's some unique challenges and very different experience for each one. So yeah, you've
Definitely.
shown us that it can be so different. Um, and I'm really sorry also for your loss. That must have been just so
Oh,
difficult. I
thank
can't
you.
imagine
Yeah,
the
it was.
timing of it as well, the timing and having to leave the hospital to go to a funeral and like you said, not really having any opportunity to really process the grieving time as well. Because
Yeah.
as mums, we just have to get, upwards and onwards sort of thing, especially when you've got a number of children. But what I also love about what you've said is that you've been proactive at the right time when it's sort of like you had to sit with things, sit with your breastfeeding experience, sit with your grief, and when it was the right time, you did something about it. When
And
you
I
had the opportunity, when you had the space in your life. Yeah.
yeah, that's I
Yeah,
think
so
one
because
thing.
a lot of
Sorry.
please go. No, please go
That's
on.
the one thing I would recommend to anyone, like, struggling. Like, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. You have good days, you have bad
Mm,
days, but you have to not let the bad days take over, and if they do, then, there is help available out there, and, I myself am one of those people, and, I can't even I wish I did it sooner is all I can say for myself. I wish I did do it sooner because it does make a massive, massive,
mm.
massive change. So, yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot to go through, and we don't wanna be burying things, do we? Because
Definitely
it's just
not.
not worth it. It's
Yeah.
not worth it on our health. It's not worth it on the way that we can mother our children. It's and the way we show up in the world. So, getting back to the breastfeeding experience. So this is, something that is comes up a lot is this pressure to breastfeed. What would you like to tell other mothers who may be experiencing or have experienced what you did? How would you like to What would you like them to be able to remember about it? And also, what sort of advice would you give if someone is really struggling and just doesn't think that it's for them?
Look, I tried 5 times. It just was not working. I At first I was kicking myself. I actually thought I was broken. I thought, how can I be a mum if I
Mm,
can't even feed my child? And everyone around me that I know breastfed and had no issues, and then here I come along um with issues. And just the pressure
mm,
from the hospital and the midwives and the nurses, it was a lot of pressure. And all I can say is I would never, ever, ever, had I known what I know now, or with my second and third, um, my kids survived with formula and pumping. I'm, living proof that they will be fine. There's just too much pressure, I think, on breastfeeding that a vulnerable mother who's just given birth, it doesn't need that extra stress. She's already trying to bring up this little child. Her body's already been through so much. Her emotions, her health, her mental health is already all over the shop. Um, it's just extra pressure that is not needed. I get that breast milk is fantastic, but if you can even just, express a little bit just in the
Mm.
initial days, I think that's the most important bit. And just go with what works for you. I don't think there is any right or wrong, really. That's one of the things that I've learnt is just there's too much pressure around it, and there needs to be less of it because it wrecks people. It really does.
Mm. Yeah, mothering is a hard gig without all of that. So we don't need the judgment, do we?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Mm.
And the second
Yeah,
time
and we definitely.
I put formula in the bag, in my hospital
Mm.
bag, and I thought, you know what? I'm not letting anybody tell me otherwise. I have to do what I have to do in order to work with my child. And if formula is what it means, then formula is what it is.
And how did you what sort of reactions did you get to that? Was there judgment? Did you
Oh,
feel that you had already kind of had that in place as a backup?
100%, 100% there was judgment.
Mm.
But I think because I was trying to express at the same time, I think that made it a little bit easier. But I just thought, you know what, if I can stick it out in the hospital and then when I go home, I can do whatever I want. But then I realized, well, hang on, I'm going to be in hospital for longer because of the issues with Bub. Like, I don't need the extra stress. Then I was like, I'm bottle feeding no matter what anybody tells me. My husband and I decided that that's what we're doing.
Mhm.
Because, it's just too traumatic to even have to worry if it's not working. Like you can get nurses to help you and teach you and go to classes and lessons, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's just too much to have to. I'm getting worked up about it even going back to those days.
Yeah, it sounds like it raises some trauma for you,
Yeah, it
which I
does.
can understand because it's the first thing that we wanna get right really with our
Yeah,
child, isn't it? We want
for
as a
sure.
mother, that is our job, is to feed our baby.
Yeah,
So, when as you said, when that's not working in the way that we're told it should be working, then you can easily feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're broken. But that's just not the case. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for that message. And once again, I think that there'll be some mother that will have s- a weight taken off her and some permission that it really is her experience, it's her family, and each individual family needs to decide what's best for them and what they can do.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so in your postpartums, did you have any kind of cultural traditions that you observed or
Um,
things that were important for your family?
not so much. It's just more of the we have the you're not supposed to leave home for 40 days, but it's not until I sort of started my business and doing research that that's actually a thing a lot of across a lot of cultures. It's actually a thing. So we in our culture we do a lot of you have to go to your doctor after your 6-week checkup and whatnot anyway. 2 weeks, sorry, I had to go back because of their jaundice. So you were leaving the home anyway. Um, Other than that, we really don't have a lot of traditions or cultural
Mm.
things along those lines, other than lots and lots of visitors. Um, you know, I find in
Mm.
our culture,
What would you
everyone
say to
wants
that, Marlene?
all I can
Yeah,
say
what would
is
you say to the visitors?
everybody wants to be the first one to visit, and, you know, I love
Mm.
my family, I love everyone that comes to visit. But what I've learned, especially getting older and, like, my husband's had a few surgeries, people need to rest. You know, this woman has just
Mm.
given birth. You know, she's open on the inside out. She's trying to work motherhood. She's trying to navigate day by day. Um, just let her rest for a couple of weeks. Like, you know, just let people rest. It's, you know, it's, yeah, immediate family is a bit different because you can say to them, you know, I'm going to go and sleep, I'm going to go and shower. But when you have visitors and you have to maintain your house and you have to entertain and you have to serve and you have to,
Mm.
it's a little bit, it's just too much pressure, I think, again, for a new mum.
Yeah.
Um, and like now, I am so aware when my friends or family have children, I'm not very pushy with things. You know, and a lot of advice they give you when they want to try old wives' tales and kid, give me the kid, try this and try that and do this and do that and it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, my niece is pregnant now, so I just don't share too much. If she asks, I share. You know, there's obviously a ton of things I can tell her, but I don't want to be that person because I was there and I didn't like it. So, you know, I've just assured her if she needs me, I'm here. Otherwise,
Mm.
I'm going to keep my comments and my tips to myself, and you'll just learn along the way yourself.
Yeah. Sounds like you're breaking the cycle in your family then.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard when those cultural practices are very ingrained, and it's like when you come from a culture that's very hospitable and very family oriented, it must be a lot harder to
Yeah,
say
for
no.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Like, even just to nurse the, like, carry the baby or, you know, oh, can I see the baby? Can I have a cuddle? And now I'm like, you know, child asleep, that's fine. Like, I went to visit my friend when she had her baby, and I didn't even see the baby because, you know, he was asleep. So I just don't want to be that person anymore because I don't want to do it to the other mum.
Yeah. We learn, don't we, what we need, what we did need, and we're able to offer that to others. So
100%.
tell me about what you most love about being a mum.
Oh, that's pretty tricky. I I'm a very caring, giving, loving person. So I think that to be able to give that type of love to someone and they can feel it deep down, um, it's really, it warms my heart. And just to be able to, you know, try and give them the best that you can and always try and achieve for better and achieve for better. And just, it's hard because they're all
Mm.
different mentalities as well. Like, they're five very different individual people.
Mm.
So I think just trying to navigate each one, um, and just do things that that person likes, and also be wary that that person may not like what the other person likes. But I do things in my own little way, to just try and make them as happy as they can possibly be. Um, you know, there's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of chats that you've got to have, but you know, it's just a mum, and until you're a mum, I don't think you really know how much love you have for something or someone.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was talking to a mum this morning actually, and she's had her mother in law come over from overseas. And of course, her mother in law wanted to hold the baby and pretty much take over for the entire 2 weeks. But we were talking about how it was good, but at the same time, as a mother, you want to have your baby. You're yearning to hold, take your baby back again because there's just, and she said, I didn't think I would ever feel that way. I didn't think I'd have such a craving for my child and that and I said, "Yeah, you don't know until you're a mother just how much that bond is so important and it's really it runs very deep, doesn't it?"
Oh, I
So
now saying that, I remember when we used to go shopping, like, my mother-in-law, I'm very close with my mother-in-law, love her to bits, but, like, even she wanted to push the pram, and I used to get a bit funny about it. I wanna do
Yeah.
it. I wanna put him in the seat. I wanna get him out. I wanna but, you just I guess they just love him as much as you do or, quite the same way that you often forget.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's hard to share. I'm sure by the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, though, you're happy to hand over for a little while.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, take all of them.
Yeah, sure. I'll be back in a week.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
exactly, wouldn't that be nice? So probably that brings me to how do you look after yourself, with 5 children? That must be such a huge challenge.
Oh, it is a massive challenge. There's not really
Mm.
much time left for me. Um, you know, I do things now and then. Like I used to go and treat myself to nails, get my nails done, or do my hair. And then, like, it's just a lot and it takes so much time that you already don't have. Um,
Yeah.
so really it's just little bits and pieces here and there. Um,
Mm.
but there's still like my youngest is 9 and there's still not a lot of me time. Um, so it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard in that sense. And I was a person before I had kids that, always looked after herself, always looked, always looked prim and proper and nice and hair done, nails done. I was always in heels and God, now you got to really dig them out of the cupboard. And, but, I mean, it's still wonderful. It's still great. It's just my time now is I think more sacrificing to the kids and doing stuff for them that it's not that it's not important, it definitely is important. Um, but I think you just need to learn to just ease up on everything else and give yourself that time. And I think a lot of mothers will sort of agree that you don't do it intentionally, you just forget and you don't get to it and then tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow never comes. So um
Mm.
yeah, it's just you do need to make it a priority because it is important, especially when you have young ones. It's important to sort of not lose yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, as you said, it's easier said than done though, isn't it? And I
100%.
think part of it is just accepting that the self-care looks different. So we can still implement it, but it's in maybe smaller, more manageable ways. So even,
Definitely.
I can see the sun coming in your window right now.
Yeah.
It's even in little ways like just enjoying the sun on your face
Yeah,
or, just putting your feet up for 10 minutes and having a cup of tea.
for
It's
sure.
smaller things. We may not be able to go out and get those treatments anymore as regularly,
Yep.
but we can do little things that just make us give us a little bit of a reset to continue on
Yeah,
with our day.
like even just
Yeah.
I'm into reading novels. Just, getting a couple of pages read is keeps you content with cover.
Mm.
It's just it makes yeah, that's right actually what you said. It's different ways, but it is self-soothing yourself, and caring for yourself. It's just
Mm.
in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, that's can be a big frustration for a woman who's used to, going out to get regular treatments of
Yeah,
sorts or, weekends away with girlfriends or whatever it is, movies even. And it can be so frustrating that it can make her feel, almost depressed
yeah,
that she
yeah,
can't do any of those things. But
yeah,
when you kind of just change the way you view what self-care is, then you can see the smaller things as part of an important part of looking after yourself and being able to keep going in this gig, because I think if you don't, it does catch up with you
For
later
sure,
on. And of
definitely.
course, different seasons require more of us. So there's some seasons that are much more intensive in our mothering, and we really don't have time. Like, we don't have a lot of time. We might
Yeah,
have a few minutes and that's it. But then later on, we might have a little bit more time. So, yeah, just moving through the current season, I guess.
that's all you can do.
So it's all you can do. But tell us about your business. Tell us more about what it is and the why and the how of your
Sure.
business.
So I created Noosh Noosh, which is postpartum care products. So all the another challenge I had with mine was I had stitches and grazing. I had all my natural, and it was so hard afterwards going to the toilet without being even
Mm.
walking. I remember was like a real pain. So I wanted to, like, that forever still haunts me. The fact that, when I went to the toilet, I used to have some disposable cups in the bathroom and just fill one with warm water. And as I was peeing, just, pour it at the same time just to take that sting off.
Mm.
So when my friend had her fifth child, I wanted to get something for her because then I thought, you know what? I had five kids. Nobody really got anything for my own self care. Everyone, was fussing over the baby and brought gifts and showered the baby. And I felt like I was just the robot that just pulled this baby out and fed this baby. And so I thought I want to find something that can help her in her recovery process. And I went to the shops and I just couldn't find anything that was really,
Mm.
anything to do with a mother that just had a baby. I didn't venture online because I was going that day, so I needed to get it there and then. Um, so then I came home and said to my sister-in-law, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to find products or create products if I have to that help or just ease the pressure off a mum that's just had a baby. It just these little ways that can help. So um, like the little portable um perianal bottles is to replace the cardboard cups I had in the bathroom. Just a more
Mhm.
easier, and then you can take it with you and use it and travel with it. It's convenient. It's all in one. So just little things that I wanted to help mums. I guess back then not much of this stuff was available, or it wasn't that heard of. That you know um I ask friends now, have you heard of this or have you heard of a sitz bath? And they're like, what is a sitz bath? So it's not very common for new mums to know any of this stuff. So I just want to get it out there that
Mm.
there are products to help ease, what you're going through. Because even there's warming breast pads now, where I was using a hot cloth I had a little bucket of water next to me and would just place it on my breasts. So, you know, obviously times have changed and come a long way, but it's not readily available.
Yeah, yeah. And still the awareness of, as you said, what it is, even
Yeah.
what are these things. So maybe you could tell us, what is a sitz bath?
Sure. So a sitz bath is a little, like a potty, so to speak, that you sit on top of your toilet. So before sitz baths used to be where you used to have to fill your bathtub, just to get over your, up to your thighs maybe, and sit in it for a little bit so you get the warmth of the water as well as the cleansing needed. Um, but I'm not going to sit there, to be honest, and fill up a bath just to sit for 5 minutes and then get off. There's just too much to do
Mm.
as a new mum. So there's the smaller ones that you put on the toilet. It only takes about 1.5 to 2 liters of water. And then you put in your sitz bath salts, which have calendula and lavender and all these healing properties and chamomile and stuff. And there's a little flusher on it which flushes you as you need. You can
Mm.
sit in there and just let it steam if you prefer. Obviously not too hot, but it just helps the healing process because once again, I found I didn't heal properly. Um, so I find, sometimes anytime I'm intimate with my husband, wherever I had my stitches, it still tears a little bit. I feel the sting there.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but I guess that's down to not looking after myself properly, and just not having anything or knowing what was out there, in order to help that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's just, compact. It folds down flat so you can store it easily. And you just lift it and it empties out through the back in the toilet. So it's really like it's minimal mess, minimal fuss. And you just sit on it for, 5 to 10 minutes. And yeah, that's sort of, yeah, helps heal and steam your bits down there.
Yeah. So we're talking like the perineum, are we? Like when we've had
Yeah,
stitches, when we've
yeah.
had either a tear or
Stitches,
an
grazing.
episiotomy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Grazing, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And is it useful to use even if you haven't had any stitches?
Yeah, you can definitely even like with hemorrhoids, both the perineal bottle and the sitz bath work very well as well for hemorrhoids because a lot of women get hemorrhoids from the pushing. Um,
Yes.
it works well for both. And just people want to use it to steam, they can do that as well. You just don't
Yeah.
feel it as much, and you just let the steam do its work. And
Yeah.
then I have the little mini fans, which then also help because you don't have to dry, using,
Mm.
toilet paper or towels. You just air dry it. Um, and I think that's the most cleanest, especially when you've got so much going on down there.
Mm. And bleeding and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's I
Yeah,
mean, even
fantastic. I
sorry, even there's like the instant cooling pads, which you just, you turn and it pops something in there which gives you instant coldness, but it also acts as your sanitary pad. So you don't need anything extra. You just wear it in your
Mm.
normal underwear. But it does help with the cooling because people are swollen, they're grazed, it's
Mm.
painful. So yeah.
Yeah, I know I had a third-degree tear, so
Oh
I
wow.
understand that kind of pain for my
Yeah,
first and yeah, I can almost get the feeling back again of what it felt like. It's like what you said, there's still almost like a trauma there
yeah,
that you can bring it to mind at any time. It's yeah, and in my time as well, there was none of these things, so we
yeah,
had a bit of ice in the pad, but
yeah,
it would be nice to have something that was, easy to use and you can follow that up
100%.
when you get home.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, and I like the idea in the toilet because the baths are nice, but they can be really messy too, can't they, with all the
yeah,
herbs?
yep. They can, and I mean, it's a lot of water, and you have to really strip down,
Mm,
get in the bath, wash off. Where this one it's just easy. Everything's just more convenient.
mm,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, well done. Where do you have time to do all of this, Marlene?
Oh, look, I don't have a lot of time. I'm not going to lie. There's some days, some weeks where I don't get to do anything. And I mean, it's only new, so I'm only starting out. Things are going a little bit slower than what I expected, but I guess it's just getting the awareness out there, and just talking to pregnant women, educating them on what is available because a lot of them don't even know that these things exist. Um, but
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, it's good. It's fun.
How did you come up with the name Noosh Noosh? Where did that name come from?
Okay. I was hoping this question wouldn't come about. Um, so
Oh, wait,
I
you don't have to answer
no,
if you don't want to.
no, 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 it's completely fine. Um, so I
Okay.
sat. the family down, and I sort of wanted their input. I wanted to make it about, really family orientated. Um, I sat all the boys down and hubby, and I said, "Look, what's a name? Can everyone think of names?" And we toed and froed, and so in our culture, that's a kind of nickname that we use for a female part down there, and
Okay.
we and then when my daughter came along, so I kind of changed it up and made it a bit more fun. So that's what I used to call it, and then I was like, well, my husband and my sister-in-law were like, "Oh my gosh, that's perfect because it's got to do with birthing and it's down there and it's perfect." And then little did I know that once I'd done the name and put it out there, like a lot of people knew already what I was referring to. So it was just we thought it was just us, but
You
everybody
thought it was a
knew what I was
secret.
talking about. Yeah. But I mean, it's relevant, so
Okay.
we'll just go with it. But
It's
yeah.
very descriptive then. I
Yeah.
didn't know, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of our
yeah,
culture, especially, yeah,
yeah,
but it's
for
funny.
sure.
It's funny now because we
Well, it
thought
will
we were
attract
being
attention then.
what's that?
Yeah. I'm sure people that knew what it meant, it would attract their attention to your
Oh, for
business.
sure, yeah,
What is she on
definitely.
about here?
But as well, it's
Yeah.
relevant, so it's not, anything too bizarre.
No. Sounds like it's very fitting.
Yeah, 100% it is.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. So I'm really happy that you've been able to come on and talk about that, and definitely let's raise awareness that there's so much that women have available to them these days, and we don't really need to suffer as much as we used to physically, I guess.
For
So
sure.
let's make use of these products.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. It will make such a difference.
Definitely. Yeah. I've already bought some of your products. I'm very happy with them. So, yeah,
Amazing, thank you.
that's one testament to them. But yeah, thank you. So there might be mothers listening that maybe are very early on in their mothering. Maybe there's women that are thinking of having a baby, or even those that are supporting mothers. What's a message you'd like to get out there for them
I
to
would
remember?
love, especially supporting mothers, be kind, be they're very delicate. Like a new mum is so
Mm,
delicate and fragile. She may look
mm,
strong, she may look the part, but really inside she's probably falling apart because it is
mm,
a lot. It is a lot to take on. And it's great when you're pregnant and you don't know until you've had the baby at how much. I remember my cousin saying to me once, "Oh my gosh, how don't these things come with a manual? I don't know what to do." And you just have to go with it. You're both learning. There's no right or wrong. You just have to work with yourself. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and don't expect too much from a new mum. They're going to be tired,
mm.
emotional. Some days they're going to be fine, some days they're not. But it's normal. So just be kind and understanding. That's all I can just be understanding really.
Yeah. I mean, that really says it all, doesn't it? Because kindness, you can't you can't trump that.
No.
So kindness from others, but kindness to yourself as well. And just giving yourself permission that to be patient with yourself. As you said, there'll be good days and not as good days. And it's all part of it. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken if you're finding it hard, because it is really hard. Um, yeah, I
And
think
just
that's a
don't
beautiful
judge.
message to
Don't judge.
yeah,
What might work for this child and this child may not work. So it doesn't mean that you're right or you're wrong. You've just got to work with it.
exactly. Yeah. Yep, the world would be a better place if we all took that on board. Yep,
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for your beautiful energy and your well-earned authority in this area of motherhood.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lovely conversation and, yeah, I'll put everything about your business in the show notes and, yeah, thank you. I'm sure that there'll be many mothers that will feel a lot of, ease from this conversation and from listening to the
Hopefully.
things that you've said. Yeah.
Hopefully. Even if it's just
Thanks,
one.
Mark.
No worries. Thanks so much,
Absolutely.
Katrina.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that it offered something helpful to your own mothering experience. If you are a pregnant woman or know someone who is, head over to my website to receive your free copy of the postpartum checklist and contact list. And if you'd like to be better prepared for your postpartum, both practically and mentally, purchase the Peaceful Postpartum ebook, a 52-page interactive guide on what you need to know and what matters most in postpartum. And so that we can get these conversations out to more mothers, I'd be grateful if you could like, share, and review this podcast, and we'll see you next time.